Hey, what's going on? I'm back with you again, and this is from the New York Times. It says Temecula mayor resigns amidst uproar over email about police killings. John Stewart blamed a voice-to-text translator for adding the word "good" in the sentence. In this sentence, I don't believe there's ever been a good person of color killed by a police officer. This article is done by Heather Murphy, and it starts off by saying the mayor of Tuscaloosa, I apologize if I butchered that, California, resigned Thursday amidst um, furor prompted by a widely shared email he sent to the constituent stating, I don't believe there's ever been a good person of color killed by a police officer. In an apology issued Wednesday, the mayor, James Stewart, said that the word "good" had been introduced in by error by his voice-to-text translator, which he says he uses because he is dyslexic. Okay. Unfortunately, I do not take the time to proofread what was recorded, he wrote in a typo-filled post on his unofficial Facebook page. Okay, well, so here's the thing. I am dyslexic. I have issues sometimes saying certain words. It is something that I cannot change. Actually, one of my highest grossed viewed videos is a video that I did about the Central Park 5, and it is one of the worstest videos that I've ever did. But I keep it up as a reminder, even though the negative comments or whatever the case is. But I mean, it's kind of funny to me. Being dyslexic, I don't use text to speech. I don't. I try not to rely on text to speech at all, if any. I doubt if I've ever really used it. And let that not be the excuse, okay? Because there's plenty of people out here that's not dyslexic. Whoopi Goldberg being one, and you can check her resume. She is Grammy nominated and won. So that's just to name one person off the top of my head that is dyslexic. And just, bro, just say you didn't proofread it and you just sent that shit out as is, if that really is the case. But please don't use dyslexia. It's tons of people that live in this world that are very functional, well maintained pillars in their community that have dyslexia. So please, let's not even do that. Okay, so Stu, where he often communicated with residents of the predominantly white, conservative-leaning city of about 115,000 midway between San Diego and Los Angeles. Mr. Stewart's email came in response to a question that a constituent emailed him on Monday night asking what the mayor and his team are doing to end violence in the community and systemic racism and policing that is killing black people. In his apology, Mr. Stewart, who was elected in November 2016 and is known as Stu, denied that he had used the word "good" in response, which he sent via an unofficial email, account late Tuesday night. I absolutely did not say that, he wrote it in the post. What I said is I don't believe there has ever been a person of color murdered by police. Okay. On context to, I'm not even going to pronounce that word, or Riverside County, I absolutely did not say good. I have no idea how that popped up. Please forgive me for my egregious error. But the apology was not enough for many. Numerous residents, including several uh, I did it anyway. City council members dismissed it as shallow and said that beyond the word good, there were many issues with the email and with Mr. Stewart's leadership. RO, who posted a change.org petition Thursday calling for the virtual town hall meeting to discuss the long-standing issue in the community, said that blaming technology was a weak excuse, and I tend to agree. If you're writing something heartfelt, especially if you're addressing thousands and hundreds and thousands of people, one thing that you would want to do is understand that is your words going out there, and to take a little bit more care in putting your words out there, because as you can see, things go wrong. It goes on to say you should always proofread, said Mr. O, adding that it seems to reveal how he truly felt. She also cited another sentence in Mr. Stewart's Tuesday night email. I have several good friends who are African Americans, and they love living here because how safe it is for them and their families, he wrote. Okay, so again, I'm going to interject and say any white person that says, "Oh, I have African American friends," you shouldn't have to say that. Like, no real white person that has black friends have ever said, "Oh, I have African American friends." Like, they wouldn't even describe us as African American friends, let alone by, like, it's crazy. But anyway, continuing on. Oh, I'm not a racist because he has quote unquote black friends, she said. Through T is often referred to as one of the safest cities in America. As a black woman who grew up there, she said it's rarely felt that way to her. She recalls watching the police arrest her two brothers outside of TJ Maxx simply because someone had reported a black shoplifter. She also recalled having a high school teacher call her dream of becoming a doctor unrealistic. I am currently in medical school, she added. Matt R., a city council member, agreed that Mayor Stewart needed to resign. Whether it was an accident or not, it was simply unacceptable, and our community deserves better, he said. Other communing into T Facebook forums were more forgiving and did not feel that the mayor should step down. Dozens of empathizers with his struggle with dyslexia and how easy it is to send something incorrectly. Well, yeah, like again, and this is the thing. People that are not educated in dyslexia, okay, a person may have dyslexia. Even people that don't have dyslexia, the one thing that dyslexia does not account for you not proofreading or having someone proofread your stuff. Like, it doesn't account for that. They have spell check. They have all these different things now. So, and being an official, a state official or a government official, it is always good practice to have an assistant and someone to look over a secretary, whoever, whatever their position and role is to assist the mayor, has someone to look over that, proofread it, make adjustments, put notes. That's why in school, when they do teach you, when you're forming a letter, any type of writing, that you have a rough draft first before that. You cannot always rely on technology, whether it be speech to text or whether it be GPS. Technology will fail you. Okay, just like, for instance, a person that's driving and they have a GPS and the GPS is taking them everywhere around the mulberry bush or whatnot. Always have use for a map and a compass, because you'll never know when you'll need one. That's one. And that's just me talking, because my stepdad was in the military, and that's one of the things that he always instilled in us. It was like, don't rely on technology, use maps, use compasses, the whole shebang, star charting and all types of stuff. But anyway, it say, "Oh yeah, Stu." It goes on to say, "Oh yeah, Stu. I'm so sorry this happened to you." One woman wrote, "But a great lesson and reminder for all my dyslexic son. I wish more people understood the scope of dyslexia." And again, the thing about it though, and I did, and when I initially took on to cover this story, um, I didn't even know anything about him blaming it on dyslexia, and I just happened to have dyslexia, and I'm just like, man, I can't make any excuses for when I mess up and when I do stuff and when stuff is wrong. I mean, most people are not educated about dyslexia because they don't know the what happens or what it is for a person to have dyslexia. I encourage everyone to please go and educate yourself before you judge a person that actually has dyslexia. It's very interesting, and then you may find out some things about yourself. You may just diagnose yourself and be like, hey, I have dyslexia. um, but to each his own. It goes on further to say others defended others aspects of his message. I don't think he was trying to make the point that he has black friends. I think he was trying to explain they expressed that they feel safe there here, wrote another woman in the same caption. If that's the case, where are these black people that feel safe? Okay, this may be one of the safest countries in America, but you don't need him as a mouthpiece to tell you that it's safe there. You can go and you can talk to the residents themselves, and they will let you know if it's safe there or not, or their feelings about it, or whatever the case is. I just think that it's really bull. It says, but the Abram Seda, a documentary filmmaker in T, who was a co-author of Change.org petition. These defenses exemplify the kind of racism that he said had plagued the city for years. It's a very common ideology in T to refuse to believe that racism exists. So people do not have to believe that they are a part of it, he said, which is true, and not just there, all across the United States. There's also a history of conceit police violence and surrounding Riverside County, said Dayton Burr, who organized a march on Friday afternoon to T City Hall. The goal of Friday's march, he said, was partly to introduce a petition demanding that the Riverside Sheriff's Office reopen the case of Matthew Tucker, an 18-year-old black man killed in 2016 by Officer NT. When they responded to a call, he was suicidal. I remember that. I did see that in the news back then. On Thursday, shortly before Mr. Stewart resigned, Mr. Burr said he received a text message from the mayor asking if he could issue a public apology at Friday's protest. He said he told him, "No, you can't hijack what we're doing. This is a movement for our voices to be heard." Less than an hour later, he said he read the mayor's formal resignation. "Because actions speak louder than words, I will step down as your mayor and city council member effective immediately," Mr. Stewart wrote in a statement released by the city. "My typos and off the cuff response to an email on a serious topic added pain at a time where our community and our country is suffering. I may not be the best writer and I sometimes misspeak, but I am not a racist." Correction, June 5th, 2020. An earlier version of the article misidentified the California city in which an 18-year-old black man was killed by a police officer in 2016. It was in Tuscaloosa. Tim. Look, not not the other one, okay? And basically I get it. I do get it. I'm just saying, like, don't use dyslexia as oh, this is why this has happened and stuff like that, and you didn't have anyone proofread it. I mean, it just opens up the window to, like, how many other documents, speeches, or legislations has this man um let pass his desk and didn't proofread it, didn't consider it, didn't have someone sit down and explain it to him, or have someone advise him on it, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, how many documents, how many pieces of legislation that passed in that city, and proportionally it was at a disadvantage of people of color. I mean, you have to wonder these things because all these things come in play because this man did hold a seat of office. So I'm just saying, like, I mean, you were mayor for a pretty long while, so you know what I'm saying? And this is not a new thing, I mean, like they said, in a lot of cities and towns in America, a lot of people get through their existence just thinking that racism doesn't exist. And through all the tragedy that has happened for the longest time, and now that people are starting to speak out, there is 18 countries in 50 states protesting the unjust racism that has an effect on a proportionate group of people, black and brown people. It's not about just the black movement. It's not about just the brown movement. It's not about just a trans movement or anything like that. Because before they were any of those things, they were black, and there's no reason to feel like it should be separate in regards to that, because regardless of what their preference is no one's business. That's just my opinion. But before they became, trans or anything like that, and I'm just speaking on this really briefly, they were black, they were Latino, they were Mexican, they were black and brown people before anything. So I'm just like, at this time, we all need to be sticking together. It don't need to be, oh, this and that and this and that. Oh, you're from this side of town and you're from this side. None of that is relevant right now. as black and brown people, if we want equality and if we want justice, then we have to come together and demand that as people, as one people. So, I mean, as far as that's concerned, that's just my opinion on that. It is what it is, whatever. Going back to the mayor, James Stewart, baby, kill that dyslexia shit. It's tons of people that's dyslexic. You can look at the statistics. You can look at where people are and this, that, and the third. Some of your favorite artists, some of your favorite movie actors and actors, some of your favorite singers, some of your favorite, people out here still love R. Kelly, being that he's the predatory person that we all came to know him as, and people love him to death, and this man is illiterate. So, I'm just saying, listen, when all them affidavits came from from his legal team and all that stuff, all of it was proofwritten, no grammatical errors and all of that stuff, and you a whole mayor of a whole city. So, bruh, from a person that's dyslexic to you, my brother, my dyslexic person, nah. Please don't throw that in there. Please don't. There are very well functioning people with dyslexia. There are well functioning people who are illiterate, and so forth. Please, let's not play the I'm dyslexic card. And that's pretty much all I have to really say on this. He did the right thing by resigning. And like I said, just imagine all the legislation that has passed his desk, all the agreements and signed documents that have passed his desk. And this is one of the only times that he's actually really had a problem with his dyslexia. How was he getting past all the other legislation and documents and laws and stuff that were passed and this, that, and the third for years upon years upon years, and he not even really spoke out like, hey, I'm dyslexic, or whatever the case is. He may have spoken out. I really don't know. I can't really say, but this is just my opinion. So at the end of the day, bruh, leave dyslexia out of it, because I'm a whole dyslexic, been diagnosed since I was 4, and my life still goes on. Yeah, I struggle with dyslexia. Yeah, dyslexia sometimes can be an issue as far as me being able to do things, as far as like reading words and stuff like that. But don't feel sorry for me, because I don't feel sorry for my goddamn self. Life still goes on. You mess up, you explain it. People take it for face value. If they don't, oh well, fuck it. If they do, and they want to make fun of you because it, oh fuck it. Life still goes on. It is what it is. But drop down in the comments. Let me know what you think about this story. I will continue to bring you different stories from all around the world. And I just want to hear y'all opinion on it. So I'll talk to y'all